I barely saw it side reach. I did not see it reach into that corner. Hello everyone, it's Just a Dad. So today we're going to do the first look on this brand new Roomba, iRobot Roomba Plus 415X. So this kind of came out of nowhere. There's not been any press releases. It became available on Amazon, so I purchased it. So right now it's retailing for $800. That is super expensive for what we're getting. This is a pretty small robot. Now apparently they're going to be releasing a whole bunch of these, but let's get started with the first look. This robot can vacuum and mop your house at the same time. It does have a side brush that it extends into the corner. There's our navigation and our optical avoidance sensor. There's no spinning LiDAR on the top. 2 physical buttons here. It's a very small dustbin. It auto empties out the back. One of the mop pads does extend up against the wall. There's like this little guard too. And we're going to try all this out, but this dustbin is just super small. Here's where everything goes into it. You got to pull, there's the filter. Again, that's just so, I can't believe how small that is. Little screen there, but there's also, there's the actual filter. And there's where the airflow comes in. It's just such a small area for the airflow and the filter. This, a little bit of concern here. There's where it's going to have the suction power. So let's put it back in. Auto empty, that's where it charges. Sensor to help it back up. This does not have an internal water tank, so it can't keep the mop pads wet. It does lift them up and down. And again, one of them, it can move to the side here. There's like an arm that moves it to the side, up against the wall. And same with the side brush. Kind of a small side brush, but it can move it into the corner. Now it does have a carpet sensor, and it does say that it can lift these mop pads 10 millimeters. Pretty standard brush roller, nothing to write home about. This is going to get some hair wrap on it. There is a comb down there, which it might help, but this is a pretty basic hair roller, or nothing too fancy about the drive wheels. Again, there is the sensor so that it knows when it's up against the wall. Another sensor on the front. We don't know much about this sensor. Little motors right here. This thing is super thin. 2 physical buttons up here. Height. The robot is exactly 8.3 centimeters or 3¼ inches. Over here on the dock, the clean water tank is bigger than the dirty water tank. I do like that. I think more robots should do that. Nothing too fancy about these tanks. Pretty standard. And then this is the dirty water tank. There's a filter, or no, there's a float. And then this is where the dust bag is. Here's what the bottom of it looks like. So 25 watts looks like maybe. Here's what the back side, you're going to plug the power cord in here. There's no power switch. Forgot to measure. The robot is exactly 12 inches or 30 centimeters wide. Here's where it's going to wash the mop pads. So it washes them with cold water, but dries them with hot air. It is kind of a self-cleaning, but again, the base station is going to put water here, but that's going to determine the wetness level of the mop pads. And again, that's where it auto empties, charges. That's where it's going to blow. It does blow hot air onto them to dry them, but cold water for mop washing. And then there's this little filter. You will have to take this filter out and clean once in a while. Mop pads are smaller, 4¼ or 11 centimeters. Here's a standard like Roborock Mova, 5 inches. So quite a bit smaller, as we can see. Okay, so connecting it to Wi-Fi was relatively simple. Click on your little person up here, click add a robot, and it should connect to your Wi-Fi. That was relatively simple. I had it map my home. That was also relatively simple. So it's got some stuff going for it. Finding it. There. Let's just jump into, you have dock controls, empty, wash, dry, settings, auto wash settings. You got low, medium, and high. How often does it go back to the dock? Dry, 2, 3, or 4 hours, and that's about it. Very few settings. I did make sure it's got the latest. It just updated on its own, so. That's it. Robot health, download the manual. Not too much going, not too much we can adjust on it. So here is the actual map. It actually isn't too bad. Editing the rooms did go okay. And so we're going to pick a room. Yeah, it's ready. So what can we do? We can do vacuum and mop. We can do vac only, mop only, or vacuum then mop. I like those settings. Those are nice. Now they give us these words: smart clean, light clean, standard clean, deep clean. That has a lot to do with cleaning pattern and suction level. But I just wish it was worded a little bit different. And then you can add different rooms and have each room cleaned different. You know, you can have it. And this has not been fixed. These are your modes. This is your suction level, how many passes, and that's the smart scrub. I'm going to leave it on. That's where it goes back and forth. I don't see anything for water level. Okay, let's go tell it to clean that room. I put a big mess there. Now, this was deceiving. These are the same size. That's just got a cover that covers up some of the tanks. So the tanks are the same size. It was an optical illusion. So it's washing the mop pads. That has to do that every time. That's how it gets them wet. So as far as I can tell, we can't set the wetness level. I took it pretty easy on it. I just put a little bit of mud down, but quite a bit of dirt and debris in the corners, some long hair.
Recalibrating location.
Okay, that was really quick. Now it spins to find its location. So every once in a while it just stops and spins. Kind of like the UVC 20, UVC 10. Oh, and Shark has a navigator that does that.
Roomba is positioned.
So it's going to travel to this room, and it should stop and spin once in a while, I would think. That's what it did when it was mapping. But it's traveling pretty far without spinning. Wow. It didn't spin at all. I guess I was just expecting it to do that. When it was mapping, it was spinning quite a bit. I barely saw it side reach. I did not see it reach into that corner. Mop pad's making a noise. Not sure if that's something I did, putting the mop pads on or not. So it has not spun. Yeah, I was just assuming it would spin. Looks like we might lose real time. I don't see it on the map. And I never saw the side brush extend into the corner. too bad. It's just going to be for everyday dust and dirt. Because if you turn that scrubbing on, it's going to go back and forth the entire time it mops. Again, the side brush seems like it's spring loaded. I don't know. Like it's constantly out. Is that it? Maybe it's, I mean, I'm just assuming that would go into the corner and then come back. I think maybe it's spring load. Maybe mine's broke. I don't know. All I did was put this on. I noticed this when I put them on. One was taller than the other, but I thought it was just because it
Mop pads installed.
was screwed out. This one's sucked in. I mean,
Mop pads installed.
I didn't do anything to this
Mop pads installed.
that I thought would damage it or anything. I was just looking at it.
Mop pads installed.
One is taller than the other, but maybe... And the mop pads are installed correctly. I don't know. That sounds driving me.
Mop pads installed.
I did. This is installed correctly. Surprisingly, we didn't get any hair wrap. I'm surprised. There's a few, but... I don't know. Let me know. We know very little about this thing. That's almost like it's... I think that's just spring-loaded. I mean, it didn't do too bad a job. I've seen worse. Yeah, it'll probably have to spin.
Recalibrating location to continue cleaning.
It's definitely the mop pads that are making that noise. I'm not sure why.
Is positioned.
So it looks like it's putting them both down evenly. Oh, it's doing the second pass. It's doing the crisscross pattern now. Now there's no adjustments for how often it goes back. Is there? Was there adjustment for how often it goes back to wash the mop? I think maybe there was. I do have it set on high, so it doesn't use very much water. I've got it set on low. I would probably turn it up a little bit. I would want it to go back to the dock more often to wash that mop pad because it's not getting it wet. The floor is actually pretty dry still. After it's cleaned this little area, it's not able to wet the mop pad. All right, I swapped mop pads, but it's going back. I don't know if it fixed it or not, but still some dirt on the floor. So for everyday mopping, just light, very light mopping. Corners could be a little better, but it did get up against the wall. A lot that I got to test on this. I was totally expecting this to be like the Wifi C20 that constantly turns in circles. It's not. I could still hear that thunking. Should get an auto.
Emptying the dust bin.
And now it's washing the mop pad, again with cold water. We do see the timeline. I don't see where it's winch yet. Maybe that's... So the timeline's nice. This is improving. The Roomba app is definitely getting better.
Charging. Pad drying starting.
That's very quiet. That's a very quiet fan. Yeah, the water's dirty. You're not going to see the lines, it looks like. So I went to cleaning history. Oh, sorry. You got to zoom in. Dang it. I remember that now. If you're zoomed out, you don't see the lines. So now we do see the exact lines. Sorry. And there's a... You can have a show carpet or not so. Okay, this is something I noticed on the 405, which I don't like. At least this fan is quieter. But if you listen, it turns itself on and off. That in itself gets annoying. If it's okay to have a constant fan on for 2 hours and then turn off. But I had the 405 in my basement by my computer, and I would be sitting there and that fan will go zzz for zoom, zzz. A fan that's constantly turning on and off is annoying. I don't know why they do that. And I actually thought I had a bad 405. But I think they've got some logic built in. Make sure you get these on right. So something to be wary of. You'll hear that fan cycling on and off again, but it is a lot quieter than the 405. So here's the 2026 lineup. Looks like we're going to start off with the Roomba 115. It has a microfiber pad, kind of like the 105. Now we're going to go to the 415. Has dual spinning mop pads, kind of meant for a smaller place. The 515 has spinning mop pads also. And then the 575 looks like it has spinning mop pads with advanced AI optical detection. Now we get into the mop rollers. The 615 heated mop roller drying. The 675, it's a mop roller also with self-cleaning roller. Now we get to the 715. This is a vacuum only, no mop. Sorry about that. Now the 775, this is their flagship. This has the mop roller with the hot spray, they're calling it. Again, I don't really know what this is. Earlier I said there were 4 mop rollers. There's only 3 mop rollers because that one kind of looks like it, but. Okay, Roomba's onto something. This is definitely meant for a small home. I don't think a super big home, and not homes that are typically messy. That dustbin seems pretty small. They've got a whole series coming out, so hopefully there'll be some bigger ones, but I'm thinking this one probably for a smaller apartment or something, but there's some new technology coming out that I'm not aware of. This sensor on the front, they don't say much about it. They hardly say anything about these things at all, so I will definitely be buying all of them. I am glad to see that the app is slowly improving, just maybe slowly getting a little bit better. The robot itself, it wasn't spinning all the time. That Wifi C20, with it spinning all the time, that's annoying. Same with the Shark Navigator, so I'm glad to see that it's not spinning all the time. So far, it's going to be, I don't know yet. So I got to do some more testing on it. But they're definitely on to something, new lineup coming. Again, check out my website, justadadapproved.com, where you can see the best robots to buy right now. It's the Mova V50. If you find it, it's my #1 pick on my website. So it's actually cheaper than that. The Mova V50 has tremendous amounts of advanced features. For $700, yeah, I can't believe it's at $700. That thing's, obviously it's at full price, and Roombas do go on sale. I don't know what that sale price would be if it's starting at 800. 600? That's not a $600 robot. That needs to be about a $400 robot. So again, thanks everybody. If you could, please like, subscribe, and check out the website, Just a Dad. Thanks everybody for watching. If you found this video helpful, hit the like and subscribe button. Also check out where you can find all my approved products on my website, justadadapproved.com. You'll see a little link to it here at the end of the video. If you click on that, that's going to take you right to my website.